Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We got Brady McDonald on with us today. We're going to be talking all storage units all the time. Probably not all storage units all the time. I mean, he does like to digress a little bit. And as always, these videos are brought to you by Catano Loeffler Realty Services. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate in Hamilton, Brantford, St. Catharines, Oakville, Burlington, hell, wherever in Ontario or Alberta, just give us a call. And if we don't service there, we'll help you out. We'll get you a great agent in that area. All right, welcome, Brady.
Boom, beautiful. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate the opportunity to be here talking to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after a 2-drink lunch, and we're here, and a lot of nice steak. And if you haven't, dry aged steak at Victoria's. It's a beautiful thing.
Unbelievable. Victoria's was unreal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that spread, and you know what? Just take Mark out for golf. He'll let you lose, and you get to pay.
Yeah. It's amazing how that happens. Let's talk a bit of the journey.
Okay.
So we first connected. You were building a lot of the secondary suites in Barrie.
Yeah.
You own a lot of property out there.
Yeah.
You went to Florida because of, crap that was happening here, and you got into some stuff down there.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, I guess I can kind of go back a little bit just to kind of so we started investing in 2015 when we Andrew Brennan was actually, my wife's a real estate appraiser, and we just ran into Brennan because she was doing one of her appraisals, realized... Okay. And he's like,
that's a great person to run into, by the
yeah.
way, right?
She's like, I recognize you. He's like, yeah, I'm a full-time real estate investor. She's like, what is that even? And he's like, well, I've got, 87 doors at the time. And she's like, oh my gosh, my husband would love to talk to you, right? So she literally, came back to me and told me this. I literally grabbed my notebook and said, okay, cash flow, how much mortgage paid down, how much appreciation. This guy's making $1 million a year. And at the time I was working for Hydro One. I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, he's not that smart. I mean, look at him. Sorry, Andrew. Maybe you actually watched my videos. I don't know if you
yeah, maybe not. Yeah, so once I realized the opportunity, I read a book, we joined RAIN, got my wife to join RAIN, so she was really engaged. And we started burning second suite conversions, right? So we buy the single family home, convert it, refinance it. That worked. Started doing joint ventures. We ended up doing 12 the first year and then 30 to 35 somewhere around there every year after.
Joint ventures or?
Yeah, joint ventures, yeah. So a lot of, we flipped, like in that mix, we always were flipping. So we always stuck to the one strategy. If it works, it works.
Yeah,
and so we built a construction company inside of it, property management company. We did everything in-house. So, we'd always flip too. Like, it's a balance between cash flow and being able to move fast. But then also...
And being able to live.
And being able to live, but then also wanting that long-term aspect of real estate, right? So, obviously holding a lot of it. And what happened was that, and I think it happened to a lot of people, it's just eventually those duplexes the numbers stopped working as well. Mm-hmm. Where I was offering, obviously, our services to joint venture partners, and I just couldn't get the numbers to work. So luckily for us, at that time, that's right when the coach houses were allowed, that came into Barrie. So then we'd buy the single family home, convert it to a duplex, and then build a coach house in the backyard. So we ended up
getting a triplex.
Then we got a triplex, refinance it. Cash flow was amazing. There was no comps back then, though. So we ended up selling the first one that we finished to create a comp to support the rest of our refinance. That was $750,000, right?
That's like $1.5 million now.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So then we'd probably done 50 of those. Again, what happened was we just, the market just kept on going. So we were kind of forced our hand into changing our strategy. So we were like, hey, what are we going to do now? Because I'm like, I saw the writing on the wall, like we just can't do this to scale. So we bought house on a big lot, knocked the house down, severed it into 3 lots as an example, and then built purpose-built duplexes in the front and coach houses in the backs.
Yeah.
So then we get 9 units out of one lot. And the nice thing with that was that we only paid 2 DCs out of 9 units. Like in Barrie, the DCs were $80,000. Yeah. So that's your profit.
Yep.
Right? So that's why that strategy worked versus, say, building a purpose-built 12-plex or whatever, right? The DCs just killed the deals.
And by the way, for all you tenant activists out there, and you wonder why people don't build purpose-built rentals, that's why. One of the reasons right there. So stop banging on private landlords when it's the government that's really... Then you guys don't know about this stuff. It's just... Anyways, I don't know. We could go into that all day.
Oh, it's like, I mean, it's just like they're a huge contributing factor as to why the market is where it is, right? Yeah. I mean, that was my goal, to build purpose-built buildings. I mean, it makes sense. That's what we're taught, right? When we had to do what we did just so we could make some money, right? Because otherwise you would be doing all this work and leaving all your equity in the deal, which is not part of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so it has to work financially for us and our investors and whatnot. So now we've got a lot of new construction projects on the way. We're developing them all ourselves, installing all the sewer, water, you name it. But again, the writing's on the wall. Like, so those infill sites that we were doing that on just are harder to find. And so what happened was, last year, of course, like you were talking about what was happening in Canada, the lockdowns, it was Christmas. We were building a house, so we were living in one of our rentals. We had a baby, brand new baby. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I cannot sit in this rental with the baby, with the kid, locked down for the winter, right? Doing homeschool is not happening. So we went to Costa Rica for the winter, right?
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2020, that's right. Yeah, so the winter of 2020 and 21. Yeah. And this is kind of prelude to where we are now, and that's why I'm kind of going here. It's just that, we did, obviously, worked remote, lived a healthy lifestyle, surfed, worked out every single day, did tons of deals, tons of development deals.
And first 75 hard.
75 hard right before that, which is probably what triggered me into having the balls to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Was because I'm like, there's just so much more clarity that came out of that exercise, realizing that I can do hard shit. Instead of $100,000 deals, it taught me that I can do $1 million equity deals. Yeah. And screw it, I can do it from Costa Rica. I'm not living this life that where my government controls us. So anyway, we came back from that. It was about this time of the year. I was on the limo, and they locked down again. Yeah. And I said to Christy, first, I was pretty pissed because I'm like, she wanted to come home, right? I'm like, why do you want to go home? Like, that's maybe the end of May. Yeah. Anyway, they locked us down, right? And I said, we're never doing this again, for one, but we're going to go to a place that there's opportunity. So that's where, we didn't really know what we were doing when we went to the States. We went down December 8th. I drove down. We didn't have a rental. We didn't have a strategy. We didn't have a bank. We didn't know lenders. We didn't know how to set anything up. We didn't have anything. We just showed up with that car that's in the parking lot. Yeah. And, we went to Mastermind, to create relationships with rockstar real estate investors in the U.S. and to figure out the strategy. Like, what strategies work for them. I know one of them is going to be what I'm going to do, right? And so then, that's kind of how we ended up down there.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
No, exactly. Yeah. I want to do what works for somebody else. And I'm like, there's something that I don't know and I need to know it. I'm just going to pay for it. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to pay to be around the people that are doing it. And I know one of those people probably have high ticket coaching that I can get all their ear forever. Yeah. Right? And spend the 30 or 60 grand it costs. Yeah. But that 30 or 60 grand, so that's what I did. I hired a coach. To work with me on self-storage. I mean, again, if you want to fast track your success, that is how you do it, right?
100%.
Like that 60 grand that'll cost me, the number is just stupid. But
well, let's talk the numbers then, because eventually, so you bought 6 properties in the States.
Yeah, we got 4 right now. 4 closed, 1 big self-storage deal, so it's 5.
So you have 1 big self-storage deal, right? Yeah. So the other ones are kind of burrs. The stuff that you were doing
4 flips, they're just
like Airbnbs or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing too sexy, but
yeah, I mean, just normal stuff that everyone would go buy.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Yeah. Normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you did go and buy a big storage deal in Dallas, right?
Yeah, it's in Houston. So it's a 5.3 acres.
Oof. That's massive.
It's dirt. It's just dirt in the middle of like 130,000 people, which is important when you're talking about self-storage. You want people to be, you want the population
to pay. You need so much population to support so many units.
Exactly. Yeah. And then so it's it's not it's a good area for storage at the end of the day, right? You may not want to live there. But so it's a piece of dirt. The nice thing about doing development in Texas is that, like, compared to, say, Ontario, which is, obviously, we'll just compare it to that, like, to get zoning approval there took, 2 months. Yeah. To do the same thing here, like, who knows? Like, we were talking over lunch, maybe a year and a half. Maybe. Right? Rezonings, and then conditional use, and then site plan, which could be another year, right? So site plan, we closed on it. We did a syndication for the deal. So it's basically ground up construction. So we're going to be building 109,000 square foot net rentable. That's how you measure storage, at least in the US. Net rentable facility. So there's one massive building that's all climate controlled. It's multi-floor, 3 stories. And then there'll be a bunch of drive up on the outside. Yeah. We closed on it about a month ago, and we'll start breaking ground in about 4 months.
That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty fast.
So your all-in cost to build 109,000 square feet?
Yeah, all in, including land, is 17.8. 17 around there. So call it 18 million. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the value after?
28 million.
28 million.
Yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, talk to me about financing it. So obviously you did LPGP structure.
Yep. Yeah, so we set it up So that's one thing, we learned, right away when we got into the U.S. is that, the typical U.S. will set everything up in LLCs.
Yeah.
And if we do that, we pay double tax or whatever, right? So we redid the entire structure. So it's an LP structure basically instead of LLCs, and so we raised $3.5 million, which is the LP share, and then there's 65% for the GP share. Okay. So obviously, like anytime you're doing a big deal like this, and this is my experience and my opinion, you can't just assume you're an expert. I mean, I personally would never go into a deal like this if I didn't have the people on my GP to support it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I know I'll get it done. To raise that $3.5 million and give confidence to the investors, the numbers can look as sweet as they are, but without the experience or the backing of somebody that's done exactly what I'm about to do, they'd be like, no, there's not hope in hell, right?
100%, yeah.
So that's one thing I realized, like going to the States, is that there is a lot of experience, like the same type of experience that you have, where you've done tons of multi-family burrs and bigger deals, and down there, like there's guys that have built 300 of these facilities, and they'll partner with you.
Yeah.
Like as long as you have a track record of doing stuff and executing, they want your equity.
Well, it's funny. Like I bought an apartment building in Edmonton, and we get there and we're like, this is a big piece of land. Could we develop this? And they're like, oh yeah, of course. Well, can we talk to developers? We'll just bring the land, they'll develop it. And they're like, oh yeah, definitely. So now we're in discussions with developers on building 100 units there.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And then you just leverage everybody's experience, because nobody can do it all.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, some people can, but I guess like to do a lot of something, it's hard to do it all by yourself, right?
And so I don't want to develop it.
No. Yeah.
So walk me through that. So you raised $3.5 million. So that means you're getting about $14-15 million in financing.
Yep.
Obviously from the bank.
Construction debt. Yeah. So it's 80% loan to cost.
Loan to cost. Okay.
Yep.
Obviously local bank.
Yep. Yeah. Try to get local in the state. So that's a little bit different thing about the U.S. is that there's a million banks, and the locals will eat that stuff up.
Yeah.
Compared more than just like a bank in Florida,
yeah.
Right? And the banks, what happens at the banks? They're like, how we used to talk about there's a relationship, and those relationships in the banks, and that's not, that ability in Canada is not here.
It happens in credit unions.
Yeah, right. So it'd probably be similar to that.
Yeah.
But like that's everywhere in the U.S. So you can really create relationships, and your track record can go a long way, and they'll fund deals, right?
So your partner had the relationship, and that's how you got
So
it?
we're working on financing right now. So we put together the funds. Closed on the land, and to get financing, they're going to want us to get through a certain stage to the design. So that's where we're kind of we've given the broker all the docs. They're going to go and start just pitching it to a bunch of banks.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. So. But that's like my one of my partners on this deal. He's a small GP partner, but he's just got 80% loan to cost financing on it. So in Texas as well. So they'll probably fund this one.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So are you selling this after? Is this a flip? Is this a $10 million flip for Brady, or is this like a buy and hold? Like you say, okay, we're going to take this. It's going to be worth $28-30 million afterwards. Give us 75% loan to value. We'll pull out a couple $1 million, and then we'll just cash flow this, or.
Yeah, so the plan with this one is to burr it out. So we refinance it at stabilization. So you buy it, you build it, you rent it out, right? Just like you would in an apartment building. Based on net operating income, right, in a cap rate that determine the value. Projecting a 65% loan to value mortgage that'll take out all the construction costs and all the LP capital, as well as give them a big chunk back to give them a good return of like 16.1 IRR.
Yeah.
And then they will retain equity. So the initial strategy on this one is to hold it to 5 to 10 years, or 2 to 7 years after, right? So it would be a total 5 to 10, and then potentially sell it based on market, just to maximize the profits. But the big strategy is to scale this. So, we just hired an acquisition specialist. His only job is to find land, right? And there's some really cool tools in the U.S. like CoStar. Have you ever heard of that?
I know CoStar.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like the information you can get there is just like.
Well, I'm a member of CoStar here.
Are you?
Yeah.
And, yeah. So
I get all that information here, but even then, it's few and far between from what you get in the States.
Yeah, you can get everybody's cell phone numbers there, right?
Yeah, you don't get that. You get their name, and then you got to dig here.
Then you dig it, yeah, a little bit, yeah. So that's his role. So the goal is to do 4 more this year and finish building out the team, and then 10 the following years. I mean, it's just a bigger version of what we do.
Yeah.
Right, and it actually is less people intense, which is surprising.
Well, it would be because the construction's way easier.
Way easier, yeah.
Right? Like you're not dealing with the plumbing, the heating as much. Like it's a central heating unit. You don't really care if whatever. Like as long
right.
as there's an ambient heat, right?
Yeah, and it's air conditioned.
And it's air conditioned. No, it's air conditioned, not heating.
Yeah,
It's Texas.
which is
what the hell?
yeah, and I mean, so your insulation factors are a lot lower. It's concrete and steel.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going into the basement. You don't have to deal with frost.
Yeah.
Right, like that makes it a lot easier.
I mean, the second biggest thing is you don't have to deal with people really on the
No toilet. There's one toilet, maybe
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, well, and just tenants, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just
Yeah.
like even I'm in Alberta now, and the landlord rules are much friendlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I still got to deal with people. Like, you know, we're still like, you know, okay, let's get your social worker involved. Let's help you out. Let's get you moved out to a place that's not so crappy.
Right.
You know, whatever.
Yeah, you still
I
got
buy crappy stuff and then I fix it. So for everyone thinks I'm a slumlord.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I buy it, it's crappy, I fix it. But people usually have to move out for that, right?
Yeah, yeah. It still takes some work. That's a lot of work to get it to that point, right?
Yeah.
So, to get them out, and then you got to reno it and whatnot. Yeah. So.
I mean, I got a buddy who does this in Minnesota too. That he's crushing it with storage.
Yeah. You know what? It's like one of those asset classes, and the nice thing about it is, like, especially right now, and it's like multifamily. It's either multifamily or self-storage, where you're looking at it from a downturn perspective. You know, like these are the two asset classes you want to be starting to park your money in my opinion. With regards to self-storage, you know, like if people lose their jobs or downsize a house or their businesses shut down, they don't sell all their crap. They stick it in storage for a reason.
Because it's cheap enough.
It's cheaper than, totally, right? And the thing, like, man, I've had a storage unit in Florida. I've had two of them for 4 years just because I have a boat down there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I pay that every single month, and it's like, you know, you throw it all out, or, you know, it's kind of a sticking point too. Like, to have to move storage units to a cheaper one, you know, that's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But I may move to a brand new one.
Yeah.
Right? From a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
Where your stuff's not going to get destroyed.
Right. Yeah. So.
Awesome. So what's your final cap rate when you're done? Because we talk cap rates a lot.
Yeah. So they're trading in the threes.
Oh wow.
So we're projecting the refi on a 5.25.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of interest rate do you get down there on something like that when it's finished?
It'll be 4-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not.
It's really good.
It's decent. Yeah.
I mean, it's not multifamily good, but it's not like plaza bad.
Yeah. It's decent. Yeah, and we're looking at like a 5 for the construction debt.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's actually like free money.
Yeah. So then we can play with it too. Like, I mean, I'm sure you can with multifamily, but like we can get a 65% loan to value with this rate or 75 with this rate.
Yep.
Right? And it's all they're gonna play with the numbers depending on, you know, at the end of the day,
how much equity
what we want, I guess, is one, and what the value is. My coach he'll probably push out 20 of them this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So
20 like.
This
Massive 900 units, right? We're talking.
Yeah,
about
950.
950 on 109,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So then he's pushing out 20 of those.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Yeah.
So like, let's call it 19,000 units.
Yeah. These guys, well, like the thing with, if you're looking at Florida and Texas and some like Arizona, obviously there's a lot of in-migration. Like the population growth is friggin' crazy, and there's no basements.
Nobody to store it.
And then nowhere to store your crap.
I've never even thought about that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, totally. So, and I mean, the land is significantly cheaper than here, right?
Well, yeah.
Right. That's one huge factor for sure. Yeah.
Well, and let's be honest, most of it's not arable.
Right.
So they're not growing shit on it anyways,
Yeah.
right? So.
Yeah. So lots of great reasons to be doing it. You know, hanging around the right people like yourselves and just really listening to what the bigger next move is. Like, really, to do the bigger deal, you just need to talk to different people. And if you're talking to the guy that's still doing duplex conversions, well, that's where you're going to be. Yeah. If you want to do bigger deals, like, you just have to expand your mindset, start surrounding yourself with people doing bigger deals, and you'll do them.
And do the 75 hard.
75 hard.
Or do a half Ironman.
Be an Ironman. Be like Mark.
Yeah. Or Brady.
I'm a half Ironman.
Me too now. It's much more fun. You'll realize that.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, Brady.
Yeah, thanks,
we really appreciate it. Thanks for enjoying Spencer's lunch.
Yeah, it was great, Spencer. Just let me know when you want to lose next.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Absolutely.
Have a great week.
Have a great